And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome to Open Connection. I'm your host, Robert Pictou. Saddlebunk riding requires strength and balance on the part of the contestant, who has to stay atop of a 1,200-pound bucking horse for an 8-second qualifying time. The standard riding equipment consists of a hornless saddle with a plain halter with a 6-foot braided braid. On today's Open Connection, we open our archives to 2017 with Saddlebunk rider Kayla Mussel.
I've been around horses all my life and involved in different equine activities such as gymkhana, 3-day eventing, horse showing, vaulting. I was a trick rider and then involved in rodeo as a barrel racer and whatnot. So horses have always been a large part of my life. And when I was looking for work, I've done a variety of different things, but this has been sort of the closest match to what I enjoy to do, and it allows me to travel when I'm on the road, and I can help, equine athletes, so it's pretty cool. Well, I had started in rodeo as a barrel racer, and then I rode steers, and was also a professional trick rider. And I just wanted a new challenge and really liked the rough stock events and didn't know of any women that rode Saddlebronc. So it was sort of a challenge in more ways than one. And since then, I've actually become professional. So I'm the only female that's ever become professional in North America. So yeah, it's been pretty cool. For the most part, they've been pretty good. I find rodeo people are ones that if you can prove yourself and that you're capable and just as tough and, there for the same reasons as everybody else, then they support you being there and think you deserve to be there. So for the most part, it's gone over pretty well. Yeah, there's been lots over the years that have been interested in it, and some have given it a try. No one has really gone as far as I have with it, though, and I'm not really sure what it is. But definitely, I've sparked the interest of a lot more people, a lot more females in the event, and yeah, it sort of inspired others to do other things. If it wasn't meant for saddlebunk riding, just seeing that women are capable of doing things that traditionally they've deemed that they haven't been. So it's been pretty cool. Saddlebunk riding is riding a bucking horse with a saddle for 8 seconds, like any of the other rough stock events. So the rough stock events are all the bucking events. So they're the bareback riding, saddlebunk riding, and bull riding. So the event is quite technical, and you're judged according to how well you're in rhythm with the horse and sort of like how well you can be matched in time and tapped off with them when they're bucking. How much actually happens within 8 seconds, because 8 seconds can seem like eternity when you're on a bucking horse, and to try to even remember and think through it, because initially everything just kind of blocks out. Before things start slowing down, you can actually react and know what's going on. But the biggest thing is that you can never think. You have to just be able to react, because if you think, you're too slow usually. You have a rein, so the rein's attached to the horse's halter on their head, and then you're riding a saddle that has no horn on it. And then it has swells where your legs stay underneath, and that's what kind of keeps you under the saddle along with lifting. It sits your butt down to the saddle. And then ideally your feet should be in the same timing as their front feet when they buck. And when they're hitting the ground and they're kicking behind, you want your feet ahead of the shoulder and above. And then when their legs are bending and coming back, you want to have your legs back. So perfect timing is the exact same rhythm as their front legs. So you have to be really quick and have quick reflexes, and just something as you do more of, you get to learn to have quicker reflexes and kind of anticipate what's going to go on. I definitely like sports that are sort of harder, more challenging, maybe a little bit tougher on my body. Just something that sort of makes me feel alive and has an adrenaline rush is kind of the big thing. For any of the sports, really, it's optimal if you can be fit and have good core strength. Definitely trick riding is something that you definitely have to be in good shape, because it's like doing gymnastics on a riding horse. So obviously you do have to be, not only do you have to balance and stabilize, you have to do that while the horse is moving. So definitely you have to be strong. I started riding at a really young age, and horses have always been a big interest, and they'll always be part of my life. So right now, because I'm, aside from riding saddlebronc horses, which isn't necessarily like I have my own horse for that, the stock contractor provides the bucking horse. it's what my work keeps me close with horses, and have that connection with them. Because right now I don't have another discipline I'm working towards in the equine field. So.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Thank you for staying with us. Equine massage therapy is a practice of massage on horses. It's been around for over 200 years, but it was until the early 90s that it started to grow in popularity. The range of techniques used during equine massage therapy is to improve the horse's overall strength and well-being. Let us return to the archives with Saddlebunk rider Kayla Muscle.
Kayla Muscle, 2015, she was the season leader. She's been a finalist qualifier and a champion. A lady that simply has changed the face of professional rodeo. She is the first ever cowgirl in the long riding to fulfill her PRCA requirements. What that means is she is a fully covered long riding Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association. That is the governing body of the regular National Finals Rodeo in Las Vegas. The first cowgirl in the entire world in the history of the sport to do that. She's a special lady with an incredible set of talent. She's ready to rock and roll today. So all you ladies in the house, here's where you get to cheer a little louder, all right? Here's where you get to make good noise.
They'll often talk about equine therapy, and often that's like therapy for people to ride horses, and often special needs people and stuff. But that's not what I do. I do more of it'd be like sports therapy for horses. So I'll do a combination of stretching, massage, trigger point release. I do infrared light therapy, and I also do adjustments. So I just kind of like all encompassing to balance the horse's body. And more so people are realizing that that's the case, whereas previously they never really took that into consideration. The greater population is realizing how important it is to keep your athletes, your equine athletes, in optimal shape and their body working right and it working in balance. I try to set it up that I can work while I'm on the road. So while I'm going to the rodeos, I'm stopping along the way and working on horses. So it works out really well because I'm sort of can work and I'm guaranteed income as I go to the rodeo, and I don't have to necessarily rely on winning money to make my way. And so it works out really well, and I'm able to help a wider range of people than previously by just staying in one location. By learning and by doing. I think probably the biggest thing is by doing. I've learned more from the horses just by doing that, showing you signs. Part of it's your intuition, what you're seeing, what you're feeling, and that sort of thing. So you sort of use all of your senses, and it all kind of comes together. Well, it varies on the horse. I would say roughly it'd be 40 minutes to an hour is sort of like roughly what it would take. But then as you work on horses more frequently, that usually becomes a little easier to do. But the initial, I would just say, is usually about an hour. Yeah, I try to stay active. My job is such that I'm not having to stay as active as I previously have, because it is very physical, because I'm actually lifting and moving horses, and they're quite heavy and strong. So the biggest thing for me is to kind of keep up with my cardio, like running or biking or that sort of thing. And then I do some strength training just to use the other muscles that I overuse with my work. And then because I have a lot of injuries, I have to definitely stay in shape. And in terms of eating, I eat pretty well, just because that's sort of an issue. If you're sitting and driving a lot, then there's the tendency to eat more fast food, and you're not as active. But I try to stay active and eat well on the road. This last winter, I was actually in New Zealand, and so I was rodeoing over there and doing some of the same sort of work and stuff. So yeah, it ended up being pretty cool. So I actually bypassed a lot of the winter stuff. Oh, I love New Zealand. Yeah, New Zealand was really cool, and it was a summertime there, so it was their rodeo season. And their rodeos are quite similar to here, but definitely the culture and everything was quite a bit different than anything I've been around before, but they were very welcoming and positive, and I had a really good time. I ended up actually 5th in the nation over there, so that was the first time a woman had been over there actively competing in the open. Well, every association is different. So this is the BCRA, it's the BC Rodeo Association. This is a rodeo I'm competing at. And so within the BC Rodeo Association, I'm sitting 2nd right now. Definitely you want to be in good physical shape. That would probably be my first thing. And then other than that, just research as much as you can and get somebody good to help you with it. Maybe go to some good bronc riding schools. And then, yeah, it's just a learning process from there. It's not something that comes overnight. It's just sort of the more you work at it and work through issues and get on broncs and, you know, be determined and tough and persevere is sort of the biggest thing.
Yes, you can see 1,000 sights along the Skeena all the year round. But for the high spot of a Skeena year, go upriver further still to a place called Kispiax along about May. And sit in on the Kispiax Rodeo. It's a time of fun for everybody, and everybody goes. Lumberjack, farmer, rancher, and rancher's daughter. They all go along to watch the fun, or maybe ride. They dance and play baseball and drink pop or eat popcorn, and they do it all together. The Kispiax Rodeo, highlight of the Skeena year, is sponsored by the Indians. They organize it and they operate it, and they take part in it. And everybody else in the district takes part in it too.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Welcome back to Open Connection. A group of kids get together to play a game of tag, and nobody wants to be it. The children don't suddenly slip into chaos trying to decide who it is going to be. They possess a rhythmic selection procedure, parts of which have been probably around in some form for centuries. We return to the archives with Patsy Hobenshield explains how the phrase eeny, meeny, miny, mo landed her in Kispiox.
Well, my father died in the fall of '45, and my mom, we were on the farm, and my mom mentioned that if we thought she should have a holiday. Well, if I go anywhere, I'd like to teach, because she was a school teacher. So she got the old Free Press out, or Family Herald or something, and she picked out 3 schools, 4. And she put her finger on eeny, meeny, miny, mo, and it landed at Kitwangaw. And then she came and taught at Kitwangaw, and she said if it rained straight for 2 weeks, if she had enough money, she would have went back and get home again. Never saw so much rain in Saskatchewan. And then she came home for Christmas, and she wanted me to come back with her. And yeah, that's how I got out to British Columbia. I helped Mom at the school, and she was teaching and everything, and then thought, you know, whether I'd like to go be a nurse or a teacher. I wasn't sure what I wanted to be. And no, we walked down to the Hudson Bay every week for the mail and stuff like that. But it was, she got isolation bonus, by the way. That's how kind of isolated Kitwangaw was at the time, yeah. Well, then, of course, I met Earl. Oh. Yeah, and then I turned 19, and that was the end of that. At a box social they had at the school, they were trying to raise money for something, and tell me if I'm saying something wrong. And
Oh, yeah, I know.
and he was,
So that's where you met Earl, huh?
and I could see this guy sitting there. And he'll have to tell you later what happened. It was really funny. We got engaged to be married and went back to Saskatchewan end of June. And then Earl came down in August, and we got married in August and Maisonade. We had 10 children. Yeah, we have 9 living, and they're all working and doing fine. We were in Kitwangaw. We got married in August. September they had it. Then in the fall, and we heard about it and thought, well, it'll be someplace to go. And so Earl's brothers and had 5 brothers, and we all came up to this rodeo, and it was just a little circle around and there was a little racetrack around it, so they had that too. I remember that now. Yeah, and it wasn't much of a rodeo really, but it was here. Before that, they had at the village, you see, the rodeos, and that was before in 40. I guess in 46 they probably did, because a fellow that worked for the school, wasn't it, Earl? Howard Ennis, he took pictures of that rodeo in the Kispiox village, and he still, I guess, what was he working for, Earl?
National Film Board.
National Film Board, and I think they still got that movie. We never came up. This was in 47 when we came to this one, the first one here in the valley. It seemed like it was, I don't know, we might have missed a few years, eh? Having the children small and everything. But I do remember coming with 4 of them, 2 would be sleeping in the vehicle, and I'd have 2 with me, and then they'd go to sleep, and I'd be taking the other 2 around. I don't know if we'll go to this very much. It's more work than anything. But, but we saw a lot of friends when we were here. We'd see people we hadn't seen for a year, and they'd invite us to their places, like the Campbells, the elderly people, and they'd have us come up if we liked to go and have a dinner with them or after the rodeo. And of course, they entered all the time. Yeah, they're quite the pair. They were seniors, you know, and of course their boys rode as well. Our youngest son rode once or twice. That's about it. Probably got bucked off. I don't know.
Yeah, but how about
Hey?
Margie?
Oh, Margie, yeah. Our Margie, though, she was a great girl for riding, and she went in this race around the tracks, and she won. But the funny part was when she came to the gate, her horse flipped in there, and she kind of went ahead of the saddle, and then she went all around on the neck, but she still won the race. It was everybody was yelling, "I don't think you're gonna fall off," or something, but she never. Yeah.
But she undecorated and
Oh yeah, she did, Errol. She entered in the rodeo. She did steer and decorating, and I think she did a goat tying, didn't she? Yeah.
And rode a cat.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. Yeah, things are coming back. Yeah. Margie was the cowgirl in the family then. Yeah. Our other 2 younger girls, they were in the drill team for quite a few years, and Carol is still in it, our youngest daughter. She is riding, and she, Carol, got busy and had the Queen contest this year. She looked after that, and each one of those girls had entered. Like our daughter Dawn entered in the Queen contest years ago, and she did well. And so did Yvonne and Carol. They all did well in the Queen contest. Of course, they ride all the time, too. Well, I used to ride on the prairie. Oh yeah. When you're on the prairie, you ride all the time. Oh, yeah? Go get the cows, put them back. We milked a few cows, and had to take them down to a different pasture and stuff like that. Yeah, every day. So. No saddles or anything, just jumped on them. Well, sometimes this one little horse was a rascal. It was my mom's saddle horse, because when she taught school there, she had to ride it to teach. And she'd be tethered, and Mom would say, "Go get the horse and go get the cows," and go out there, and she'd chase you. So she'd have to catch it and put the bridle on, then throw us on. And then if they came to a slough of water, she'd pretend she was drinking and just lay right down. We'd fall off, and next thing, the horse would be galloping home by itself. This happened every day, just about.
Open Connection will be right back after these messages. And now, from the CFTK-TV studios, this is Open Connection with your host, Robert Pictou.
Traditional Christian concepts of marriage dominate Canadian society since the founding of the country. Since the end of the Second World War, however, these customs and norms have changed considerably. In this final segment of Open Connection, Patsy shares her thoughts on picking a partner.
I wasn't even thinking about getting married to anybody else. I thought, oh, if I ever did, I wouldn't mind marrying either a policeman or something that's exciting, or maybe a rancher, yeah. But Earl was a logger, but we're sort of rancher loggers. Yeah, we didn't see any rodeos in Saskatchewan. We never went anywhere. In the 30s, nobody went anywhere. Well, we're still living on the farm, yeah, down here in Kispiox. And
Up the farm up here.
we had the ranch up there, yeah, the cattle ranch. And then down, we traded it with our youngest daughter, and so but we have cattle on there all the time in the summer. The largest head of cattle that we've had at P Ranch was, I remember that, 105 cows. And we were so lucky we never lost a calf. And 5 of them had twins, so we had 110 head. And that was in 1996. Wow. I remember that, yeah. It's a good life. Yeah. And it's a good life for the kids, too. They all went to school on the bus from Hazelton to Hazelton. But at Kitwangaw, they had to catch the bus, the older ones, too. But we never had as many cattle there. We have 160 acres there, and we have the kids, they have cattle. So they bring so many head to our place every summer with a bull. There's about 20 head there now. We don't need to worry in the summer, really, just watch them. Yeah. We have one cow, yeah, and she had a set of twins last year in July, and this year, you wouldn't believe it, she had another set of twins, same thing, 2 little bull calves the other day. Well, for one thing, you have to be athletic. You got to run like the dickens sometimes, and you have to, get up early in the morning, and sometimes, lots of times at night when the cows are calving. Well, I don't know.
You gotta like it.
You gotta love it. We loved it. It was a great life. Yeah, we'd have the children help us at haying time, but usually when we wanted to have them, it usually rained, so we put up a lot of hay by ourselves, because like both Earl and I'd be out in the field all the time, driving the tractor, raking or cutting or baling or something, yeah. Yeah, we worked together all the time.
The Skeena people take kindly to the ranching life. Like other tribes to the south of BC in the Caribou, Kamloops, and the Okanagan, they make good ranch hands and good ranchers. So it's not surprising that they turn to it when hunting and trapping won't give them a fair living any longer.
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Open Connection. The greatest distance in the existence of man is not from here to there, but the connection from mind to his heart. If we can conquer that distance, we can soar like an eagle and realize our immensity within. I'm Robert Pictou.